Of course, this is Straight Talk Africa, coming to you live from Washington. Let me come to you again, Hermine. Tell us, what makes Patrice Talon, the president-elect, who, of course, is due to be inaugurated on April the 6th, what makes that man tick? He's still a very young man.
Yes, I mean, if you call 57 a young man, yes, he's a young man. He's a young man, and he's full of potentials. This is a guy who he's the #1 businessman in Benin,
Right.
and he's the richest man in Benin. And he's the first employer of Benin. And on top of that, he's the one who is really committed to his country.
You
And
mean he actually employs more people than the government of Benin?
Oh, actually, I would say in the private sector.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He employs more in the private sector. He's the #1 private sector employer.
He's a very rich man. Where did he get the money from? Because he seems obviously to have deep, deep pockets. He sponsored, for example, the outgoing president not once but twice.
Well, I would say he is rich because he's a businessman. The same way I asked you, Donald Trump is a rich man. Where did he get the money from?
Real estate and what have you?
Well, in his case, he was mostly in the cotton industry, and the cotton is the #1 export product in Benin, agricultural product in Benin, and therefore he has made his big fortune through that, buying companies, and even some companies that were state companies that deal with cotton.
Wasn't he at one time in charge of the ports in Benin?
In charge of?
Ports.
Well,
like the port at Cotonou,
yes,
for example?
He was, in a way. I wouldn't say completely, I mean, fully in charge of the port, because the port remains part of it. I would say yes.
Have you ever seen, for example, someone who has been head of the port or customs not being rich?
Well, you know what? I wouldn't say that. That's why I'm really cautious when you say he's in charge of the port, because the government is supposed to be in charge of the port. He has some aspect of it, you know, the PVI, they call it. He ran that program, but not for too long, because he has already made his wealth before having had to deal with lead this project. But he was already a rich person before then. I mean, he's a business person born.
What does he need to do in order to consider himself a success? Because as I did my research, I found out that, in fact, his work may very well be cut out for him.
That is possible. That is possible. But I am afraid of it. I'm afraid of that. What's happening right now is that we're dealing with a president who is not standing on his own. He's surrounded by very, very intellectual and well-versed in the country's business, in the country's economy, who are around him. People like Kupaki, people like Ablaibio Chane. Those are the people he is surrounding himself with. And in the past, that's what he has always done with his different companies. Talon is the one who always grabbed the great people around him. And I would say, you know, if you can do it yourself, you better find good people around you to make it happen. And that's what he's doing again. He makes sure that he has great people around him.